What's up, guys? We're back in Florida. I've been so excited to get back here because we have so much cool stuff going on that I'm excited to show you. But I will disclaimer this beginning of this video, I am feeling really sick still. I'm actually gonna go to the doctor on the way to the warehouse and see what's wrong with me because it's getting to the point where my throat hurts so much that I like struggled eating breakfast, and then that was the point where I was like, all right, should probably get this checked out because I like eating. So I'll be guzzling cough drops all day, but for now we're gonna head to the doctor's, then we're gonna head to the warehouse so I can show you one of the projects that I've been probably the most excited about in a very long time. Bet you didn't expect to see this one here, huh? Ugh. Can't remember if I said this explicitly in a video or not, but all the cars that I had up in Connecticut, the Evo, the Skyline, the truck, the trailer, the GT3 RS are all back down in Florida again. Because for the open house, which is coming up very soon, which I will give you guys details on probably in tomorrow's video, I just want to have all my cars in the same place for once. Or at least all my East Coast cars. It's so weird driving this thing on Florida roads. As you can imagine, the doctors really didn't know what was wrong with me. It was one of those things where it was like, yo, let me check out your throat. And they were like, yo, your throat's messed up. And I'm like, I know. And then they gave me medication. So like a C-pack or something, a 370Z drift starter pack is what they gave me to take. Hopefully it makes me feel better. I'm gonna get some coffee and hope I can power through the day. I really don't want to miss a video, especially one that I've been so excited to film. Alright, so since my first Australia trip, I've been like super keen on doing burnouts. I've been having a lot of fun just roasting the tires. Do you like burnouts, Alberto?
I like burnouts.
So, I don't really remember exactly how this idea came about. All I remember, I was taking a shower at Grant's house when I was living there this summer, and I had this brilliant idea. I was like, man, that 370Z that I have, if you guys remember this car, that I picked up. A friend of mine had it for sale in Connecticut. It was a rebuilt title, it was in a front end wreck. I got it because I thought I could flip it because it was like $5 grand and I thought I could make some money on it because it would make a good drift car, and it's really cheap for a 370Z. But no one wanted to buy it, it was just sitting there, so I was like, the driveline on 370Zs is pretty strong. It's got the CD trans, it's got good diff, good axles.
Carbon fiber drive shaft.
Yeah, so like in theory, it would be something that would be good for, you know, third, fourth gear clutch drops and roasting tires. But power, you don't really have a lot of options with the VQs. You can do superchargers, I think. They make like a supercharger kit for this.
Yeah, that's
but
a couple superchargers. Twin
turbos we've never done on anything. So I was like, man, what if we did some twin turbos on a 370Z?
So I mean, since I was flexing with one arm, I have to flex both arms at the same time.
Oh yeah, because you're double boost now.
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, it was kind of one of those things that was like just a kind of like rough, dumb idea. And then once I started kind of thinking about it more, I hit up Martin, the guy that tunes all my RS Enthalpy like stock ECU stuff, because I know he does a ton of Z stuff. And he let me know that you can actually make over 500 wheels safely on a stock VQ37. So then I was like, all right, game on. And I guess we should probably just show what we have right now, and then I'll kind of explain a little bit more how this mad project has come about. So let's
when everybody's been asking what am I doing, I've been pretty busy with this one.
Yeah, so look at this. So if you can't tell, there's definitely some inspiration right here from Cletus's Leroy. So we kind of took the old, you know, LS twin turbo out the hood idea, and we made our own JDM version of it. So I thought it would be cool for both for serviceability and for the ignorance factor to have the turbo sticking out the hood and be able to just shoot flames straight up in the air. So like, all right, before I start explaining more, did you think that this would actually like happen? I think this is kind of like a ridiculous idea that like...
It was definitely a challenge to make everything work. It's still obviously going to take a little bit of time to make all the functions of the car work, but it is doable. And so you start with two turbos and you start putting stuff around and more stuff like, yeah, actually looking pretty good.
So this is kind of one of those weird things where like I've obviously been away for the past month and a half, and this idea came about in, I'd say, mid-September. So it's kind of been a challenge for me to figure out how to make everything work, but it's been kind of cool, even though I haven't been directly involved and had my hands on the build, kind of delegating and figuring out all the key roles for everyone to do. So like the first thing we did, if you notice, this car left about a month ago and it wasn't at the shop. That's because it was at my friend Johan's shop that makes really nice manifolds. And I basically gave him the project of making me the manifolds to have the turbo placement. So that was the first stage. He made the manifolds to get the turbos right where we needed them. And then he also made these sick little, I don't know if you'd call this a down pipe or an up pipe, but he got that done. And then the car came back to the shop so Alberto could work on the intercooler stuff. But the super key piece of this build that was the most challenging thing to find someone to do, I spoke to all different people that build like turbo kits for like exotic cars, people that do custom intake manifolds. No one wanted to take on this project, but I wanted a water to air intake plenum like Cletus has on Leroy. The idea behind it is I didn't want to have to take intercooler piping, run it down into the intercooler, then all the way back up, and take away the cool simplicity of having the turbo sticking out the hood by running all this like spaghetti intercooler piping. So I was actually able to convince Doc Race to take on this project, which I'm sure was not very profitable for them because this piece took so long to make, but they were able to make me a custom water to air intake plenum. So if you aren't familiar with what these are, basically, instead of having an intercooler that you have to have air go through in order to cool the fins and cool the air that's going into the engine, you have water to help cool it. So we'll run like an ice tank in the back, and it's gonna be super key with a burnout car because it's not gonna have any airflow, so an intercooler wouldn't really do that much. By having cold water to cool it will be a lot more effective. Dude, this is so hard being sick. I'm like, I'm like sweating behind the camera. Can we turn the AC on?
You just open the door, it's cold outside.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So the whole kind of goal behind this is to be able to do a burnout long enough to pop the tires. So cooling is going to be a very important thing, and that's something that you'll see continually discussed as we kind of go into detail with more of the components and stuff that we use to figure out this build. The ideal way to do it would be to run the car on straight meth, but my thing is I was very concerned having it in close proximities to people and spectators. Methanol fires are no joke. You can't see it, and it causes a lot of damage, so I didn't want to have a lawsuit or anything, so we're going to run it on E85, and I think the water to air plenum will help with that, but running it on straight meth would have kind of been cool, huh?
It would have been cool, and probably, I think, not so much about the fire stuff, because you can still put additives on the fuel so you can see the flame, but the ice burning kind of factor, that's the worst part.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Probably be standing there, you won't be able to breathe or whatever, or the people around you won't be able to breathe. It sucks.
Especially at the hood.
Yes.
So anyway, like I said, there's been a lot of different people involved, and the first two main stages were Johan and Doc Race that made me this insane plenum. So you can see that it's still dual throttle body. We are actually going to run this car on the stock ECU because it's pretty advanced, and Martin will be able to tune it and hopefully get it pretty dialed in with the stock ECU. But this is sick. This is kind of like one of the key components of the build. This and having the turbos here. And then I kind of left Alberto up to figure out all the rest of the little details and stuff and give him a little bit of direction.
All the gaps.
Yeah. So I know I guess we can talk about the fuel system first, because having, you know, twin turbos on an NA 3.7 engine, obviously having the proper fueling is going to be really important. So I spoke to Martin and he said the #1 thing that you got to do right away, add a return setup to the fuel system. So
yes, because these cars have a set pressure, so you're not controlling fuel pressure with boost, which you can do with an adjustable regulator, like the Detroit ones that we use, which is mounted right over here. So by each pound of boost, it will also add 1 psi of fuel pressure, so you can like compensate. Also, not only we're doing the return system, we're adding 2 pumps. So we're going with a Detroit D400 pumps that is gonna flow 800 liters per hour, and then we're also gonna be using a -8 line to feed the fuel rails, which I got you this really nice billet fuel rails that I think CJ Motorsports is the one who makes them. They look very nice, they bolt right up. When we're also using Ditchworks 200cc injectors, these are like really good because you can not only deliver a lot of fuel, but they are also very precise. I think there's a DB2 series. And then for the return line, we're doing -6. So I have like double -6 going back to the regulator, which is very handy. And then from the regulator goes -6 back to the tank, which that one I still gotta do. Then I'm also working on this really nice fuel pump hanger. So it basically is a full billet piece, has double outlets. Instead of 1 -8, I'm doing dual 6, and then from that I'm merging into 1 -8 line. Also has a different plug and stuff, so you can wire your own configurations however you want it. Then has all these little pins, which I finally got the tool to make these. And then these are the 2 fuel pumps we're gonna be using. Look at these things. Compared to your stock little unit down here, it's all like nice and cute and plastic looking.
I almost entirely missed one of the most important parts of the build, the turbos. So if you notice, we actually have a pretty cool setup with a standard rotation and a reverse rotation Garrett G25 550. So this is the same turbo that I run on my SR that can make about 500 horsepower, and we have 2 of them. So I thought it would be a little bit better going with a kind of a bigger setup with a little bit more headroom, so we don't have crazy IATs, especially doing burnout stuff. But like I said, I think we'll be able to make 500, 600 safely with this setup. These, if we ever want to go a little bit crazier, will probably flow out closer to 1,000, I'd say. I know that there's a little bit more loss when you go twins, but does that sound about accurate?
No, that sounds pretty good.
So this thing's gonna be sick, and it's gonna sound cool. Alberto did a phenomenal job on the intercooler piping. I really kind of was hoping that we'd be able to do the throttle bodies like in the front and be able to just run it just like this, but for whatever reason it just made more sense to go like this. I think with all the stuff that we had to fit in.
Works that way. I'm able to have a nice straight piece for the map sensor mounting. If you have the map sensor in a corner, it won't read right. So actually having 2 center pieces right here in straight actually works out, so I'm able to like get it going. I also trying to do it like so it goes from lower and gradually going up, so you can have a little bit more vision on the windshield, because you don't want to have this thing just completely all the way up here and will greatly limit what you can see. It's gonna be like, oh, I can't see just an intercooler pipe. So kind of nice. You can see like a nice side shot lower. It looks really cool.
It kind of looks like a little robot when you look at it from up top. Is that what you use for your to make your?
I use my arm and just put it like this. Like, look at this, perfect.
So if you guys notice too, you use Vibrant HD clamps, so no silicone couplers. These are super, super nice, and if we need to remove them, look how easy that is. Pop that off, and then.
And I need to rub the cogs.
All right, I'm sick and I'm trying to film a video. You can relax, brother. I'm a little bummed that I wasn't here to be able to like film a lot of this stuff, but the main deadline behind this build is to get it ready for Cletus and Cars, which is in 2 weeks now from this point. So to wait to do everything until I was back would be cutting it way too close. But the good news is it's almost done now, to the point where we'll probably be starting it in the next couple of days. So that's pretty exciting. Do you think it's gonna sound good?
I gotta see, depending how much back pressure it's gonna have. It might sound odd.
Yeah.
It might sound cool. I don't know.
I know that that like sometimes when you take like a V8 or a V6 and then you don't have any sort of like merge or anything, it can kind of sound like a truck because your ears used to blending these sounds together, but now they're like kind of separate, so it can kind of sound weird. But we should have some crazy turbo spool noises and stuff. Obviously, external gate, Alberto made these as well. We'll probably be shooting flames straight up. We're gonna do some sort of crazy anti-lag limiter where it's just spitting flames the entire time we're doing burnouts.
As you can see on the turbos, I ended up making every single line custom made. So I got Vibrant fittings for everything. These really nice Vibrant to Teflon line fittings. I was able to make the lines to length, since they're obviously the fuel outlet, the oil outlet is on this side of the engine, so this line is shorter than that one. I also did, like I always do with the water lines, I have them color coded blue. So the black lines in this case are fuel, and then blue lines are water, which I ended up also tapping to the stock feed lines to the throttle body water heater lines, which we won't need in this case, so I use those.
Whoa. We don't have heat?
Wait, no heat to the throttle bodies. You're not gonna drive this car in freezing conditions, are you?
Well, you never know.
Well, the throttle body is gonna be frozen. Yeah, they got all that. Then back here, there's like so many lines, because you have two lines coming out of the fuel rails for the return, but then you also have the two fittings on the back, which have this nice white pipe right here from the dash 8 line that feeds to the rails. Then you got water going over that way. Then there's another hose. Oh yeah, that's the return line. So there's like a million hoses back there. I try to make it all like super neat, but
all right, so you definitely did a good job, Alberto. I'm very excited on this. So this is kind of like one of those things that's super ignorant, and like the car is super ignorant, not the idea. there's a lot of ignorance going on. I never name cars. What I thought would be funny to name this is Z-Roy, because it's kind of like a JDM Leroy. I asked Cletus, he said it would be funny. So I've been messaging him back and forth, and he's been kind of watching as I go along, trying to get this thing ready for Cletus and cars. I hope it's gonna do sick burnouts and sick flames and stuff. But like I said, my main concern is I wanna be able to beat the crap out of this thing without it overheating. So we'll kind of show you now what we've been able to kind of come up with together in regards to a cooling setup. So Alberto was able to get this, which is, what is this like sold as?
Box and a fuel cell combo.
But instead of using it as a fuel cell, because we're still going to use the stock fuel tank, we're going to use this as the ice box for the water to air intake plenum. And then this is going to be a water tank, because what I want to do is have a switch. So when I'm doing burnouts, I can flick a switch, and then we'll have a bunch of nozzles in the front that are constantly spraying water on the radiator and on the oil cooler, which we have a nice little Koyo oil cooler down there that we'll probably put a fan on as well. Because these cars, one issue that I know we had when we were drifting the black 370Z in Texas, the oil temps would get crazy. So I would just want to make sure that this thing is going to be able to stay cool. So that was one of the ideas that I had, was to do that water spray system. And then that little piece that Alberto found is really cool. It's kind of funny because this is like one of those projects that's like pretty like janky and like kind of a ridiculous, ignorant thing. But there's been so many cool pieces that have made life easy, like this tank setup here, or that dual pump hanger. What are you doing?
Pumping the clutch a little bit because it still needs to be fully bled. But
oh yeah, should we talk about the clutch that we have in this?
yeah, it's a monster clutch.
Do we have any photos of it? I think you sent me one,
I
right?
have a bunch of pictures.
Okay, so tell me the specs on this clutch.
So you wanted to have a very reliable car. So I saw that spec makes 4 different options of twin discs for this car. It's like 4 different stages, so you can like kind of play with it. I tried looking other brands, but they were nowhere near the torque handling, and since you're probably, I know you, so you're probably gonna try to make more power than we're already gonna make. So I wanted to prepare for having the most power handling. So I got you a twin disc that's able to handle 1,500 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh my God.
So it's a twin disc, has a 8 3/4 iron disc. So it's like very, very heavy duty. Also, there's quite a bit of pressure. It's not like super soft pedal feel, so it's pretty much a lot of clamping force and like super heavy duty disc with a bigger diameter. Because normally, like on the 15 and stuff, you have like a 7.5 or 7 1/4 disc. This one's 8 3/4. It's a lot bigger, and also able to handle a lot more heat. So the discs are very thick, so you can just clutch dump it all day, and it won't burn off to the disc like other twin discs might do.
You know, I've always thought about clutches in regards to where, you know, starting and stopping, switching gears, clutch kicking and stuff. But believe it or not, when you're on power, especially if we're doing burnouts in 4th gear and we're sitting there, you can actually heat spot smaller diameter clutches. So would you agree that going with a bigger diameter will help us kind of combat having overcooking the clutch?
Not only bigger, but also it's thicker. So it's like a really beefy disc. So it's able to handle a lot of heat.
I know we can't see the clutch if we lift the car up in the air, but I want to show the stuff that's going on underneath the engine. So
I got a bunch of really cool pictures.
So anyway, we're gonna lift this thing up. It's cool. I'm curious what you guys think of it. Like, this is probably the most excited I've been for a project in a while. It's just so ignorant. Like, I don't think this has ever been done before with a Z. I'm not sure, but
I don't think so. This is like a contraption of a thing.
I think though, like, so the end game plan, like I said, is eventually this engine will probably blow up. We'll probably have to put a built engine in it. I kind of want to use it for drag racing stuff too, because I think if we turn this thing up and it's making almost 1,000 horsepower, you can fit a good tire on Z's. This thing will probably be fast.
We're only doing burnouts with this thing. Who said anything about drag racing?
But why not?
Change the whole game.
Well, how?
Now it has to be able to drive in a straight line.
Why can't it drive in a straight line?
To like put a mirror or something so you can like see forward.
Okay.
Or you're gonna just go drag racing with sticking your head out the side.
Okay, I've driven Leroy, and I haven't driven Ruby, but I've been in the car with Ruby. Their setups stick up so much higher than this. When you're sitting in the car, it's not bad at all. I don't know what you're complaining about. Like, from in here, that's all that you see. That's not bad at all, dude. Like, for real, the Mustang has a bigger hood than that.
Yeah, we like the monster trucks at SEMA just running into people that you can't see.
So you might notice the windshield smashed on it. The dash has the airbag coming out. It's a little beat up. The bumper's kind of messed up. We do have, or I should say we could get replacement stuff for it to make it look nice, but I kind of like the this car's all smashed up with a bunch of nice parts look. So I think we're gonna just run it with the smashed windshield and all that stuff for cleaters and cars.
You are?
Yeah, it looks cool. It'll look like something out of a movie or something. I don't know. But the bumper's like all like twisted and gross and messed up, and then the fender's all rusty and it's got a smashed windshield, but it's got some sick turbos. So all right, let's lift this thing up in the air and show what's going on underneath. As I was saying before, there's actually a lot of cool stuff that's available for this platform. So one of the things that Alberto was able to find is it's an oil pan spacer. So this adds volume to the oil pan, but you can also use it for the turbo drain, which is kind of convenient. Then we've got a little Mishimoto oil filter block, so we can run the oil cooler lines to this. What else we got going on underneath here?
Well, underneath here we got the rest of the fuel system. You can see where I mounted the Dishworks fuel filter. It also got this really nice fitting, so everything flows as it needs to be. Then, running with the stock lines, I have the Dash 8 line, and you can see here where it splits into two Dash 6 to run up to the tank. This was like almost impossible to run the line up there, barely even fits. I gotta still run the return line. Hopefully it still works.
Obviously, if you didn't already assume, we are going to be running this car on Ignite Red like all the other cars, so it will have a lot of good cooling properties, make a lot of power, but it will require a lot of fuel. I've never looked underneath one of these things and just looked at how much room there is on the side of the trans. It's always CDs and swapped cars where that's like pretty nice. Right, I know, for real, dude. So obviously when people do turbo kits on these, they normally mount them down low, but we're just kind of doing this for the whole ignorance. Yeah, dang, those manifolds look sick. I've never actually gotten to see them.
Yeah.
You did a really good job on those.
It's nice. I also got to use some new studs and hardware for it, so it's all like fresh. Looks brand new.
I know one of the biggest challenges that Johan said was being able to design them in a way that we could remove them without having to pull the engine. So can you confirm, like?
Yes, I also ended up bending the water pipe right here. This line was very close to the turbo, so I just wedged it a little bit to the side. I'm able to service it without getting the engine removed.
So nice. These G25s on this setup, I honestly have no idea how the spool's going to be and everything, but they're very, very quick responsive turbos, and you know, we almost have double the displacement of my SR, so I would assume we should be at full boost, probably low 4,000s. And what do these rev out to, like 8 grand? So it should have a pretty big power band.
Yeah.
And it should sound sick.
Yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about is back pressure. We gotta see how it handles having no exhaust.
I thought turbos like no back pressure.
So you still want back pressure.
Really?
It's like, for example, your SR20 on a stock turbo and you put a 3-inch exhaust, it works, but if you run an open downpipe 3-inch, it runs terrible.
I don't know that.
It still needs back pressure for like lower horsepower. Once you make enough horsepower and then enough also cam profile, you can reduce back pressure and still gain power, but if you open it up too much, you actually lose power.
Okay, well hopefully that's not an issue.
You're gonna have to run more boost to compensate.
Yep, we'll just, end game, like obviously I want this car to work for cleaters and cars, but end game I do want to just crank this thing up until it does blow up, because I'm curious what we can make. This setup will party. This will be a record-breaking stock block setup if it works as well as it should, you know?
No pressure at all. It's all good.
So obviously today is going to be more of an update video, kind of bring you guys up to speed on this project, and the rest of the upcoming days we'll kind of go over it more in detail, as well as some other stuff that's going on. But a couple other things I did want to show you. We've got a couple of these. These are just water nozzles that we'll use for the sprayer system. As you can see, the oil cooler's up there. Like I said, we're going to put a fan on it, but we're also going to have water sprayers to keep it cool. Anything else that I missed underneath the car?
I'm wondering. I don't think there's anything else underneath here. It's the oil cooler. That was it.
I'm so excited for this thing. It's so stupid, but it's going to be so cool.
What's been a nightmare, look, I got all that stuff done, and look how much stuff I still have to assemble.
What are all these lines for? If you guys aren't familiar with Vibrant stuff, this is basically Alberto at a strip club right now going with $100 bills.
I got that box too, like. And then, over here I have your stuff for your line lock, so you can make some really cool burnouts. So I got you some B&M solenoids. I got like really nice little lines. All adapter bushings. So it's gonna be like the cleanest line lock thing ever.
That was one thing that I did learn from Luke. Doing line lock on a car like this is good because if we are, you know, kind of left foot braking to be able to do burnouts, you'll start to heat up the rear rotor and the rear pads a lot. So by doing that, we can just lock the front wheels up and be able to do sick burnouts.
This almost feels like that one meme that is like, whatever, like, and then it's like, oh, hold on, I need this, and he has to pick them back up.
Another cool thing too, like I was saying with the stock ECU on this, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. So we'll be able to do anti-lag, launch control, no lift shift, all with the stock CD box, and it should be able to handle the power. So another thing that I forgot to mention, this is a radiator that we bought. There's not a lot of options out there that are good radiators that also have a condenser built in. So this is one that I found, and yes, we are keeping AC in this car because I think it's gonna be very fun to go do pizza runs and go take this thing and shoot flames on the street. So we are retaining AC, and this is the radiator that we're gonna use. Like I said, we're gonna have water sprayers, but this I believe is a dual or a triple pass radiator with a built-in condenser, so you can retain AC and still have some good cooling properties. I forgot that this wheel, Alberto, should we just weld this wheel? Or is it missing, no?
It was already repaired, and it's got a weld inside the barrel part.
His wheel's broken in a couple places.
Fixed, and then it broke again, so the wheel like...
But I don't want to have to buy new wheels. They're expensive. Oh yeah. It'll be fine. Shibby, mate. Shibby. That's my new saying. Do you know what that means, Alberto?
No.
So in Australia, like what they'll say is like it'll be all right, but they'll say should be right. Like should be, like it'll be all right. So you just say shibby.
Shibby?
Yeah, shibby means like it'll be all right.
It's almost like a she'll be all right kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's just like they keep on not saying words until it just turns into shibby. Like should be right, mate. Should be right, mate. But instead you just say shibby, mate. This.
Don't die.
Yeah, no, I know. So I'm just really excited to do like bottle tops and burnouts and make a bunch of ignorant flames and stuff. Are we missing anything else? Is there anything else we can talk about?
What else is there?
I don't know. We should bring it back down though. It's kind of bummer that I haven't been here to be able to document the whole entire process behind this build, because it is probably one of the coolest builds that I think has happened on the channel. But there's going to be a lot to come with it. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on with the next version of the setup. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on getting this one dialed. Hopefully we'll have it running in the next couple days and get it tuned next week, because Cletus and Cars is next weekend. Have I missed anything? Obviously, if there's any questions you guys have, we can cover it in the next video tomorrow, because this is like a pretty absurd setup. But what have you been enjoying this? It's kind of a different project compared to what I normally throw at you.
It's fun. It's just it requires a lot of focus to get this done right. If I show you a picture, like when I was trying to make this, I had like 5 different pipes, and just like, all right, how will this fit? Like, all right, just like same thing. I'm a freaking meme, man, dude. Like, I had like all these like numbers floating in my head and everything. I was like, then it's done.
It's just like I said, it's been really cool kind of having a bunch of different people come together on this. My stupid ideas, plus Johan's fab stuff, plus Alberto's ideas, plus Doc Race helping me figure out this setup. It's been cool to kind of see everybody work together, and Martin giving us all the information on what we need for tuning, which by the way, we needed to add, was it 1 or 2 map sensors and then the O2 sensor. Well, the O2 sensor is for the gauge. We'll talk about gauges and all that stuff later.
Yeah, so I have 3 O2s. So I have the 2 factory ones. You even show the nice bungs that I always like welding on your exhaust.
I love these heatsink bungs. You did a really good job on those.
I like using those on everything.
So we've got those, and then we had to add the map sensors for the stock ECU.
The intake, I ended up having to add the 4 fittings. So you have 1 fitting dedicated for blow valves and fuel regulator. You also have this one that the stock brake booster line fits right on it. Then this other one is gonna be for the map sensor for the gauge, and also the factory map sensor. And then this one is gonna be for the boost controller. Since you're running twin turbos and we were running only 1 solenoid, I decided to take the boost reference from the intake manifold, so it's the same. I'm not running off one of the turbos and not the other one.
You guys might notice as well, we use the vibrant push lock setup, which is pretty cool and can handle a ton of boost. So if you don't remember these lines, when you need to remove them, it's as simple as, I mean, it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but then you push it in and it's locked. Yeah. So pretty cool setup. Anyway, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. I'm not feeling the best. I want to crank out an update on this real quick, and then I'm gonna try to film another video today to just get back on the daily schedule. We've got so much going on in the next couple days. I hope you guys are excited. I'm really excited to do burnouts in this thing, and let me know what you guys think. But make sure you like the button and encourage. What?
I gotta get my nicest well of the whole thing.
Okay.
I love these. Look at these.
Yeah, no, those did come out sick.
I'm so proud of those. So I ended up like just brushing the whole pipe, so it looks cool, but I left the well untouched, so it's because it was just, you have to admire it. So
no, it's very good.
Just like, oh my god, it looks so good.
I told Alberto to spend as much time as he possibly could on the fab side of this, because it's one of those things where there's not going to be a hood on the car, so everyone's going to be looking at all the fab work. Yeah. So this has been like a cool way for you to display how far you've come with all your fab stuff.
Another one of the most technical things was to weld the engine stuff to the throttle bodies. Because you have all this plastic, so I have to like literally gut the throttle body, weld the flange to it, and then assemble it all back together. But it came out awesome.
I'm very
excited. Also, the map sensor bones are like really cool. This one was my first one. Then I played with the heat, and look how nice the second one came out.
So good.
I also ended up burning the bolts so they look like titanium. They're actually stainless steel, not titanium, but they have this new like nice burnt look to it.
So here you guys have it. My twin turbo VQ37 370Z burnout car, aka Z-Roy.